For Doomhammer.
Probably just want AoE against Hunter. Maybe a big taunt's nice too. Well, he's not a very aggressive hunter, apparently.
Tonight, a tale of long lost worlds.
Well, as far as Barnes hits go, that could have been worse. I guess I should have waited to see what I drew first, but I wasn't playing Maelstrom Portal there, I don't think. Flanking strike just to get the dude on the board makes sense to me. Slam down an Earth Elemental. I'm really overloaded next turn, but if he's killing my Earth Elemental, I can at least play the Corridor Creeper. Maybe even with an Ancestral Spirit on it if I really want. Or I can just like play Crushing Hand on whatever he plays. I guess I have to assume Freezing Trap here. Probably should assume Cat Trick too, but I'm just gonna do this. Cat Trick be damned. Wasn't even a Cat Trick. Well, if he doesn't kill this, I'm Spellstoning it next turn, for sure. That deck probably shouldn't have a Silence in it. Because of the Barnes, you don't really want to just be playing Spellbreaker. And obviously there's not really another one that makes any sense. Got him. That was the dream, man. How do you deal with 6, 7, 8 taunt minions?
Thrall versus Uther. I will fight with honor for Doomhammer.
I'm gonna keep Maelstrom Portal against Paladin. Gotta make sure you kill all those pirates and hero power tokens and divine shields and all that good stuff. I don't think the Spellstone is very likely to be good in this matchup, but it's in my thumbnail, so I guess I'm happy to see it.
Put this apple on your head.
Coin Knife Juggler. Healing Totem is kinda cool here, I guess, because he has to attack into it or it could absorb multiple juggles over multiple turns. This isn't quite enough stuff to AoE. Next turn I'll probably just Lightning Storm whatever happens here.
Reporting for duty.
Okay, this definitely calls for an AoE.
Reporting for duty.
The light protects me. The light protects me.
So I can clear with either Lightning Storm or Maelstrom Portal. The Lightning Storm leaves 2 1/1s up, and I don't think I really want to leave the 1/1s up. They can be buffed by Blessing of Kings. I think I just want to clear. I do admit though that using 2 AoEs on one board in this matchup is a little bit sketchy. Especially with Call to Arms potentially coming down this turn. But I've seen 2 Squires, maybe a Lightning Storm is good enough. And hey, sometimes he just doesn't have Call to Arms. Nice, he even got the shitty weapon. Double trade Harrison as weapon? Seems good. Yeah, I think I'll still go Harrison here, rather than the Earth Elemental. sick 2 face damage. But yeah, it's not like he's ever doing 14 damage from hand next turn. So I can always just play Earth Elemental next turn, or maybe even the following turn.
For duty.
Wow. Spent his entire 5 mana turn making a 1/1. Well, I have inevitability on my side in this matchup, so I don't mind sending 5 damage into a 1/1 just to deny him some buffs. I'm on 4 mana here, so I'm probably just going to make a totem, slap a spirit on this, and then kill off his dudes. I probably could have started pushing face damage that turn, but again, I think the longer this game goes, I just continue getting more and more favored. Even if he starts hitting his divine favors and stuff, I think I'm still favored. Okay, so when I hex that, he'll give up, right? Should I even hex it? Should I just spellstone my guy while I have the chance? This thing really wrecks my board, though. I'll just hex it. So I guess I have mana to play Farsight. And we keep trading down.
Reporting for duty.
Alright, Valinir is a way that he could, in theory, start gaining enough value. But this should be a game ender right here. Seven mana, 9/7.
Reporting for duty.
Power creeped War Golem. BM an even stronger board. Got him. 5 Earth Elementals. 2 of them pooped out an Earth Elemental, and the other 3 pooped out 2 Earth Elementals. I've never seen a game more over.
Thrall versus Anduin.
The light shall bring victory.
For Doomhammer.
I'll keep the 4 mana 7/7 against Priest. Could have maybe even considered keeping the Spellstone, but maybe that's a little bit ambitious. I did pick up the Spellstone. I do, in theory, have enough stuff to fully upgrade the Spellstone, but I guess it's not actually that good against Priest. They just play Shadowy Branduin or Psychic Scream, and then your Spellstone's kinda useless. Play out our big boy so we can try to smack him next turn.
Blessed be this funnel cake.
Alright, we're gonna be super overloaded here. But we can hit him in the face, and that's what really counts. And I made sure to order my overload properly to get these spellstones fully upgraded, because they each needed 1 upgrade, or 1 overload to get upgraded once. So we start with the Flame Wraith Faceless, and then use this as the 3 overload to fully upgrade them. I have 1 mana. How ridiculous. So I guess the plan is he probably kills one of my guys, I play Earth Elemental. He's probably pretty likely to have Psychic Scream. He's just gonna Psychic Scream now. But then hopefully I can find a good spot to go cheap Snow Fury Giant plus Spellstone. That's the objective. Oh, he did just shuffle 2 Flame Wreathed Facelesses back into my deck. So I can play this guy and not get a 2/8 every time. Oh, actually he coined, so he can't Shadowy Branduin this turn. I can just do this. What does he do against this? Okay. I don't have lethal here, which is a bummer. Just kill this thing and hit him for 15. I don't want to play the Guild Recruiter, because then the 7/7 just dies to Shadow Reaper Anduin. The problem is if he has Anduin here, I'm not really sure that I can get back on the board again in any significant way. And I do need to be on the board to kill him. Volcano is nothing in this matchup. I also just realized I have a Wrath of Air totem in my deck. Nice, didn't hit it. I think if he had a Shadow Word Death, there were a lot of spots he could have played it, but of course he's drawn some cards since then. But if this 7/7 lives, I can play a Spellstone on it, and he's down Psychic Scream and Anduin, so they would actually be pretty difficult to deal with. But if he has the foresight to just deal 2 damage to it, set it down to 5, then a Dragonfire Potion could clean up pretty easily.
Not all.
Oh, I'm just dead. Okay. Turn 9 lethal. What a deck.
Thrall versus Rexa. Let the hunt begin for Doomhammer.
Probably should keep Maelstrom Portal against Hunter. Clears out Alley Cat before the Crackling Razorball can come down. Okay, the Maelstrom Portal is not good against that 1-drop. Probably don't want to play the Crushing Hand here, but I think it was actually a consideration. That Dire Mole getting buffed by a Crackling Razor Maul is a huge threat. Right off the top. But the counterpoint to this being a huge threat is I have a Lightning Storm in my hand. That's a large 1-drop though. Lightning Storm doesn't do much against that. But I think I can just make a dude here. Next turn can be a 7/7 and then I can use removal on the following turn hopefully. He's playing really defensively. I don't know if that's correct. We'll see how he reacts to this guy, though. It's definitely got to be wrong to trade the 2 dudes into it. Okay. So I'm trading my 7/7 into that, I guess. I'm only going to have 3 mana. Probably just have to go for a Lightning Storm. Even if it's a low roll, it kills the Crackling Razor Maul. And sometimes it just high rolls on the Houndmaster. And the high roll on the Houndmaster was a really big deal there. Unfortunately, the Mole had a lot of health, so it's going to be able to trade into my Flame Wreathed Faceless. Or Candle Shot. I'm going to have 4 mana this turn. I guess I just want the other 7/7. Might just have to hex that. Could Crushing Hand, but it'll put me on 4 mana again next turn. That seems kinda bad. Playing the Hex here is bad if he has high main, but a lot of these lists that I've seen don't play high main. And I think I just have to hope he doesn't have it. I can't afford to be overloaded next turn. At least not overloaded for 3. Volcano and second Lightning Storm are the best draws. Let's go for Earth Elemental and give him a Death Rattle. I think it's pretty unlikely I'm taking any minion damage this turn, and the only way I die is pretty much 2 kill commands. I don't think there's much else that kills me here. I'm going to be on 5 mana next turn, so hopefully I can use a removal spell and then play Healing Rain. Wow, he's actually trading into it. I guess he figures he has to get through it eventually. Oh, this game is so over with Maelstrom Portal Healing Rain. I would be very surprised if he doesn't surrender this turn. Okay, that's actually a very strong play. That is pretty sketchy. Yep, I'm sure Call of the Wild is the only spell in his deck. So I can go Maelstrom Portal, Lightning Bolt that kills Misha, trade the Murloc into the Huffer. And then I probably just want to go Crushing Hand on the 5/7 and then hit him in the face with the Earth Elemental. I really wish I had one more mana so I could play all of my spells and a Guild Recruiter. But I don't think I can play a Guild Recruiter this turn. Alright. I didn't really have enough time to think about all the spell damage implications, but I think just full clearing his board there was pretty important. Oh, okay. Well, I guess killing the Archivist wasn't very important since he had the other Call of the Wild in his hand. But no regrets. It was pretty lucky that I rolled Spell Damage Totem and I hit Patches off Maelstrom Portal. That was pretty disgusting. I can actually be dead here to double kill command. That's also pretty disgusting. Okay, South Sea Captain's not much. Dire Mole is even less. If he doesn't do any trading, he's dead to removal here. But it would have to be non-hex removal. So looking at my deck, it would have to be exactly the second Crushing Hand. And that's not exactly very likely for me to have, but he doesn't really know what's in my deck. He'd be dead to another Lightning Bolt here if he didn't trade. Oh, I guess Lightning Storm is also potential lethal. This is probably a pretty tough turn for him, because he probably doesn't have a very good read on what's in my deck. Oh man, you'd love to see that. Alright, so I should probably play this guy before I draw my last target, and then we'll go for a Farsight. Farsight into Farsight OP. And a 2 mana 7/8 taunt. Okay, yeah. I actually can't believe how close that game was after that. What was it? Maelstrom Portal. And then I must have just played a big guy in the same turn. Oh, it was the Maelstrom Portal Healing Rain when I had the Earth Elemental on the board. That turn was gross and he still almost turned it around because Call the Wild into Call the Wild OP. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to say about this deck. It seems like it does pretty well against aggro, but it loses really hard to all the good late game decks, like Highlander Priest and Control Warlock. The Highlander Priest matchup in particular is super difficult, because Psychic Scream just absolutely destroys all of the powerful plays this deck can do. It's even more effective against this deck than normal decks, because if you go all in making like a big Earth Elemental play, not only do they counter this turn, but you're still overloaded the next turn. And then any board you create that doesn't have Ancestral Spirit is still super weak to Shadow Reaper Anduin. If you try to just go for like one threat, they have Shadow Word Death, they have Silence for your Ancestral Spirits. Highlander Priest is just super hard to beat. It's less clear to me why Control Warlock is such a bad matchup, but I did lose to it, I think, every time. I guess it's just because you're so much slower to get going than they are. Like, yeah, you can play a 4 mana 7/7, but then they play their 2/2 that summons a 3/9, or they play their weapon that summons a bunch of Doom Guards and stuff, and then you just die. I did put Harrison Jones in the deck to try to help with that, but the Harrison Jones has not really worked out too well. Against aggro though, the deck seems to be pretty reasonable, but it's more good against aggro because it has 2 Maelstrom Portals, 2 Lightning Storms, 2 Volcanoes, and even the Healing Rain. It doesn't seem like it really has much to do with the Guild Recruiter package, or the Spellstone, or the Snow Fury Giants. So it feels like you could just play a defensive Shaman with the board clears and the healing, and it wouldn't really matter what any of your late game cards are. And because your late game cards don't matter against aggro, and they're not actually good enough to beat control, it kinda seems like all this stuff is just in the deck for no reason. The Spellstone in particular feels like it just costs way too much mana. If you do get to play it against aggro, it's very powerful. But usually if you're at the point where you have something to copy for 7 mana on your board against aggro, chances are you're doing pretty well. And then of course it doesn't do anything against Psychic Scream or Shadow Reaper Anduin. So I'm not really sure what to conclude about the deck. Seems like it does well against aggro, but just gets wrecked by everything else.